Hey, TJ, physicality has been a big topic of conversation when we've talked with Mike Tomlin this week and pretty much everybody else. Did you notice a response from the team in practice this week? We haven't been out there to be able to see it or anything, but has practice been more physical, or have you noticed guys being more upbeat, energetic, anything like that this week in response?
I think we're just trying to have clean practices and just trying to play as fast as we can in practice to make sure that the film can be corrected before we get to Sundays and Monday this week. And I think we had a great week of practice this week, and I'm excited to go for Monday night.
Jeff Hathorn?
TJ, along that line, what's talk among the guys about just what needs to change or what was missing the last two games?
I just think we have to play better overall, all three phases. We just got to play a lot better football, and we're more than capable of playing better football.
Jenna Harner?
TJ, what are some of the things that you kind of take from the last time you saw these guys? Obviously, quarterback's different. Obviously, the kind of question marks about Brandon Allen right now kind of out of it. But what do you take from that first matchup coming into this game?
Just some of the mentality type things. I think it's AFC North football, so we know a little bit about these guys and the history that we have with them, and certain areas that they've historically liked to attack our defense specifically, and things that they might be more successful on in recent weeks that they might try to exploit and use against our defense. So I think they have a lot of talented players in their team, even though they're down some of their star players. But those guys are looking to make a splash too, so we definitely respect these guys.
Chris Adamski?
TJ, obviously, I know it's not you guys' major goal, but you have the chance to have the AFC North wrapped up by Monday night. What is that? Does that mean anything to you? It's been a couple of years you guys have been in the playoffs and won the division.
I don't know. I'm not even looking past today, to be honest with you. I think just really happy with the practice we put out today, and excited to watch the film here in a few minutes with the guys and go over it.
Aditi Kinkhabwala?
TJ, one of the things that Ben said this week is that everybody needs to relax and you still have time for the postseason and, take a deep breath. And this sort of comes out of the idea that you were romping, and then the last 2 weeks, the Steelers as an entire team haven't looked so great. Internally, is there sort of that same feeling of, wow, we're not playing the same way? Or is that just all external noise? Do you feel any different about your team right now than you did maybe a month ago?
No, I think we're a very even keel group, and that's kind of the NFL. You can never get too high, you can never get too low, because you'll get humbled both ways in this league. And you always have to have a short memory from play to play, game to game, week to week, things like that. So we feel very confident with the guys in this locker room, and I've said that every week after wins and losses. We just have to go out there and put together a complete game. And like I said before, we're definitely capable of playing a lot better football, and that's the plan for Monday.
Jenna Harner?
TJ, obviously this season, it seems like there's been some teams where you guys have faced where you didn't even know who entirely the quarterback was going to be coming into that matchup. Obviously, you guys have some sort of idea, you game plan, but it's happened to you guys a couple times this season. What are the challenges in doing that, or are there a lot of big challenges?
Yeah, it's tough, especially when you don't know if it's going to be a running quarterback or what type of arm talent that he has. But like I said, we respect every one of our opponents. Everybody here is paid to play football, and that's kind of when we have to fall back on the schematic side of it and just see what the team overall likes to do in recent weeks. And if that quarterback has played before, what does the offense look like when that quarterback is in the game, and things along those lines. But everybody's a talented football player up here, and we respect everybody for sure.
What I'm getting at is it appears that a lot of defenses have gotten used to you guys releasing the ball in about 2 seconds or less, and it seems like they're crowding the box much more frequently for a short passing attack. Do you need to diversify a little bit more, do you think?
I think if you use statistics to look at football, you might fall into a couple of wrong conclusions regarding the release of the ball. If you take away the quick passes and you look at the way we throw the ball from the gun, I don't think it's going to be that far away from the rest of the NFL teams. Especially since we throw the ball from the gun almost the entire time. To expand the ball and throw it a lot further and you have to do boot play actions, which is something that simply we don't do in our team. That's not a secret. That wouldn't do any of that. But the ball gets thrown when it's appropriate. It doesn't get sometimes it gets released a little earlier. It does, but just because the ball maybe is not traveling as far doesn't mean that the ball is not being held a little longer. So I don't know. I don't know if we need to do anything different. I'm not the person in charge of making that decision. I'm just an offensive lineman trying to do my job. If style points matter, then I guess it'll be something that I'm sure the coaches can answer you. But I'm just a lineman. I'm not going to carry this message to Randy and say, "Hey, Randy, Tim Pence told us that we need to throw the ball a little deeper." I just try to do my job, man.
Dale Ollie.
Al, when you hear Mike say that you guys need to be more physical or we're out physicaled by the Bills, and Ben comes out and says, "Yeah, but that's not necessarily on the offensive line per se." How did you guys take that in terms of Mike's message?
I think that whenever any football narrative comes out, regardless of what it is, there probably is enough evidence for it to be viable and for people to listen to it. And I'm sure that there is a certain level of truth to it. I don't dwell on the commentary. That's not you guys probably are a lot more informed, and you guys are a lot more versatile on the giving and receiving of narratives. When it comes to football, you guys are tracking probably more teams in the NFL. Have been doing this for a lot longer than I have. I have not been watching football that long, and so I focus on the things that I can control, and that is assignment blocking. And the types of blocks that I have to do. And so if you ask me about those types of blocks, then I'll be able to give you a little bit more, maybe insight of what I believe is, maybe I have not been doing a good job, this season. I can only speak for myself, for I have no idea of what a guard's block or a center block looks like, or even a right tackle. So the narratives that come and go during the football season, I'm not very familiar with anything that's been said. I'm not very familiar with even what Coach Tomlin tells you or the media. I don't have any access to the internet. I've been in a bubble, media bubble, for the past almost year of my life. So I try to do the best to my abilities in every single block, and I understand that for sure that I have so much to improve on, that I'm not a perfect player, that I have to minimize mistakes, and the physicality is always a component of playing offensive lineman and playing football in general. And if somebody wants to write or say, to include the head coach, that we lack physicality, then they're absolutely in the right to do it. And in my head, I cannot challenge narratives. All I can do is control my blocks.
Chris Adamski.
Al, was it gratifying to whenever Alwyn Cash got the legislation was passed that he'd be able to get the Medal of Honor, and has the family reached out to you or anything since then, or somehow anybody expressed anything to you about your role and perhaps in that?
Yeah, I've been in contact with the family. I've been in contact with the two lawmakers that passed that introduced the bill. Have reached out. We've been in conversations. I think it's been a really cool moment of recognition for some first-class Cash, but it has nothing to do about me, nothing to do with me. It's got a lot to do with him and what he did. And I think it's cool when these things get rectified and he gets what and a person gets what he deserves.
Brooke Pryor.
Al, I got two questions. First, you don't have internet and you haven't had it for a year. How have you pulled this off? I'm kind of jealous.
I don't know how, but I do have access to the internet. What I would say, I would rephrase it and say that I got a flip phone this off season, and I just, I felt that it was every single time that I was looking at my phone, I was getting, upset. I was getting, I would start to think too much about what's going on in the world, and I felt like a lot of it was just in my head. That existentially, if you look at my life, nothing has changed. I still go to work, I still go fishing, I still have my friends. It's just that idea that I created in my head of I think Doomer Dave is the appropriate term, scientific term for this type of attitude. And so, I don't know. I just started doing other things and started getting a little more disconnected from the world. So, I understand that a lot of things get thrown around the media and whatnot, but I don't have time to track all of them. I'm a little lost. I'm somewhere in between a 2020 millennial and an Amish person from somewhere in Pennsylvania.
Okay, and I have an actual football question too, but that's great. I am really jealous. I wish I had a flip phone. When you say that you can only really assess your own play and how you've done this season, how do you feel like you've played this season? And has anything changed on the line or been different physicality-wise in the last 2 or 3 games versus how you guys were playing earlier this season?
No, I mean, in terms of the change, I feel like the change in the approach is exactly the same because we have the same routine. We show up to work and we have the same mindset. I think that mindset has been established by Marquise Pouncey. It's been well documented. He's the type of person that always demands, a level of pride, in your game. And I think that helps everybody. It's always good to play with somebody that cares about pride. And then, when I assess my play, I always dwell on the negative plays and I never dwell on anything positive, and the only thing that matters to me is the next snap. And so dwelling and bathing in this negativity before every snap and having a mental breakdown is somehow how I've learned to play football. I know that a lot of tackles do the same thing. I'm not going to call them out by name, but shout out to those mental sufferers out there. And it's just the way that you play. It's a position. It reminds me a little bit of jumping out of airplanes when I was in the Army. There's just very little upside. And, the best thing that can happen when you jump out of an airplane is that you survive. And then everything else that can happen, is all negative. And so playing tackle is kind of the same way. The best thing you can happen is that nothing happens. And then everything else after that is just a negative something, of some sort.
Jeff Hathorn.
Hey, Al, why do you think at times that you guys as a group have had troubles running the football?
I would agree with any theory that any of you might have to say, but there's just so much duality, behind every theory about football, just like in life. So fortunately, I don't have to worry about answering these questions. I just have to worry about executing my blocks and staying sane between the years, through life, through football, and through all this. So I take my approach, not so much from a collective standpoint, even collective as an O-line. I take it more of a personal, individualized level. And so for me, what I always think before every game is that I've been playing terrible and that I have to get better in my next block, that I have to do better in the next game, that I have to be able to feel like I'm the difference, why, I play works. And, that's just the mental approach that I've had to the game, but it hasn't changed over the years. So I feel the same way now that I've felt over the last however many years I've been playing.
Mark Caboli.
Hey, when we talked to Dave the other day, he seemed kind of bummed out, maybe just that everything's going on. I mean, how
Doomer
tough is
Dave. That's the original Doomer Dave right there.
So obviously you're not worried about that at all, because he seemed like he was in a bad spot. And could that be possibly because of everything that we all have been going through for the past 10 months and a little pressure on you guys a little bit more to stay healthy through this?
I think Dave is the greatest actor out of all the players when it comes to revealing his personality. And I would say that sometimes when I'm driving with him every morning down 79, I feel like I got Friedrich Nietzsche himself sitting next to me. And some of his takes, are always going to be a little on the obscure side. So, for him to be down, it has nothing to do with his approach to the game or how he feels about football. He's a very professional person. He loves to approach things from a very meticulous and analytical sort of way. The way that he sets, the way that he plays, the way that he approaches everything. He plays odds. He learned that from Munch. Munch was a guy that played football like a card player, and that's how he approaches the game. So I wouldn't worry too much about Dave. But if you ask him about a question about whether he thinks that people are happy or sad, he's always going to say that people are sad.
All right, we'll wrap it up with Chris Adamski.
Al, do you let yourself, is it a strange feeling knowing that, your last year, your contract, I mean, these theoretically could be the last 3 or 4 games for you, and not only you, but, Zach and Matt and a lot of other players in the offense and defense too. Do you yourself go there and think about that?
This is the 16th, 17th city that I've lived in my life. Ever since, I don't know what it's like not to know where you're going to be next year. I think my whole life, it's been where are we going to go, Dad? Where are we going to be living next year? Hopefully somewhere within 9 hours of our grandparents, so we can maybe see our cousins. So, for me, it's no different. There's nothing I can do about it. I can give you all the cliches, things you can control, things you can't control. So, it is for sure something that makes you appreciate everything, your friendships, your teammates. There's the city of Pittsburgh, the Western Pennsylvania, living elections through in Pennsylvania has been wild and crazy. So, it's been an interesting years of my life, and I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but it's not something that I dwell on. I've lived in 17 other cities, and I know that I probably won't live in Pittsburgh 10 years from now. So it's something that it just makes you appreciate space and time and all the weird things that we have going on in our lives.